All right, we're back on the block for the first full market week in August. This is Money Moves, live from the FMDQ studios in Lagos. I'm Bosin Omofaye.
And I am Melissa Enoch. I hope you all had a great weekend and welcome to the show.
All right, thank you, Melissa. We begin from here in West Africa, where three Sahel economies, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, have announced plans to set up a joint investment bank, which is aimed at increasing economic cooperation between the three countries. Each of the countries that recently exited the ECOWAS regional bloc will contribute about 5% each of their tax income to set up the new bank, through which development fund will be pooled. The new investment bank was designed to finance major projects in infrastructure, agriculture, and energy, looking to reduce reliance on traditional Western and regional financial institutions. Now, in the meantime, Senegal has unveiled a new national economic recovery plan to be financed via 90% of its local resources without raising the country's debt profile. The initiative, announced by the country's Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko, looks to narrow Senegal's budget deficit from 12% of GDP in 2024 to 3% by the year 2027. Key measures in the Economic Recovery Program include the scrapping of sector-specific tax exemptions, raising tobacco taxes to 100%, the introduction of visa fees, and the cutting of public spending by merging some state institutions. Senegal also raised billions in CFA franc from oil and mining contract renewals, including telecom licensing, and from other sources. In corporate news this Monday, the Ghanaian authorities have asked the pay TV giant MultiChoice to slash its subscription fees by 30% or lose its operational license. The deadline for the reduction is Thursday, August the 7th, even as MultiChoice retained its pricing despite the appreciation of the Ghanaian currency, the cedi. MultiChoice is reporting gains in its streaming business. Showmax subscription rose 44% this year, with revenue up by 48%. Meanwhile, MultiChoice, which is headquartered in South Africa, has been bought by Canal Plus of France for $3 billion. That deal is expected to be concluded in October this year. Now let's get more from our newsroom with Melissa. Hi there, Melissa.
Hello there, Bose, and thank you very much. The executive chairman of the African Energy Chamber, NJ Ayuk, has called for a women and youth inclusive energy sector in Namibia. Ayuk and other Namibian government officials were speaking at the Youth Oil and Gas Summit held last week in the southern African country. Let's now take a listen.
And I look at these young people wondering, what would oil and gas mean, not just for me, but my country? Stories I've read about oil and gas across Africa and across the world has not always been good. Issues around climate change, issues around energy transition, clean energy. What does this mean? It means that we have a chance once in our generation to do something different, to change the narrative of what is being told, not just about Namibia, but about Africa and about its young people.
It's both timely and befitting. As a country, we are entering a new chapter as the discoveries of our coast have drawn global attention to Namibia. But for this moment to truly matter, it must translate into real, meaningful opportunities for our young people. This is about more than oil and gas. It is about building skills, creating jobs, and preparing the next generation to capitalize on the opportunities that presents itself. That's what makes this summit so important. It brings together government, the industry, education, and youth all in one space to explore how we move forward.
And I look at these young people wondering,
In South Africa, the rand recovers to about 18% to the US dollar early on Monday, even as the Ramaphosa's administration scrambles a formal response to the US 30% tariff imposition. The new tariff is expected to hit the South African economy from Wednesday, August 6th. The Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, Parks Tau, says the government is going to the cabinet on Wednesday with a set of more detailed proposals that will elaborate on the structure of the support package for key sectors, businesses, and workers expected to hurt the most from President Trump's tariff. The three-day annual conference of the Nigeria Society of Petroleum Engineers begins today in Lagos. The yearly summit provides a platform to review recent government policies and actions, as well as trends and challenges in the industry for project developers, investors, and other stakeholders. Here's a soundbite from the keynote address of the CEO of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Gbenga Komolafe.
Through an industry-wide implementation vehicle, we will involve policy frameworks and operational mechanisms to valorize stranded or marginally economic oil and gas resources through joint development strategies. In a similar vein, the Commission is pursuing the project 1 million barrels of oil per day incremental initiative with modest gains recorded owing to multi-stakeholder collaborative approach adopted. We are glad to report that we have crossed the 1.8 million barrels of oil mark on peak production last month, with an average production hovering at 1.78 billion barrels of oil per day. So thank you, everyone, because we are doing it together, and then we'll continue to do it together. As part of our commitment towards sustainable production, the Commission is optimizing the maximum efficiency rate test (MERO) framework, addressing produced water management, because we also believe these are issues that need to be taken on, and align operational shutdowns and turnaround maintenance schedules to ensure minimal production disruption. Given the above and with concerted effort of all, the presidential mandate on production increase is well within reach.
Melissa Enoch, and that's your news now. Bolson is standing by at the ticker tape room for today's markets rounds after this. Stand by.
Welcome back, everyone, to Money Moves. This is how money moves market. And, of course, we're hitting the market's data bird first on this round. And, of course, we're starting with the equities market. Just pop it up. Let's look at the trading day for some of those equities markets we cover across Africa. And you can see that the rally in July is flowing into the new month of August. Of course, we started August Friday with the first trading day. But today, it brings you a full market, first market week in the new month. And you can see the Nigerian equity side roughly 2% on the upside. That took the Osha index to a new high of 144,071. That's a very new high. That's taking the market again into a new month, the second in the second half of the year. The Egyptian market started on Sunday. The market got bigger today with the rest of the region and the Middle Eastern market open for the week. 1.26%. That's the EGX 30, well above the 34,000 reading. The JSE also clawing back some of its losses last week, 1.1% today, again on the back of the fact that the President Ramaphosa and the team says they have a proposal in place that will be presented to the Parliament on Wednesday as a response, South Africa's response to President Trump's 30% tariff hit on South Africa. That is going to take place or take effect from Thursday, August the 7th. So the market is a little bit comfy with the fact that South Africa is ratcheting up some responses, of course, which would include, again, helping some sectors, some businesses, some workers in South Africa, the sectors that will be most hit, automobile, agriculture, and a few others. So the market's a little bit happy with the response so far from South Africa, but of course, it's still a long walk in the park. The package will have to be approved by the Parliament, and then, of course, we'll see how it will be implemented under the administration. But right now, it's a tightrope for the authorities in Pretoria. Zimbabwe stock market, Osha index, 1.32%. That was where we were on Friday. We get to have today's data in. The Nairobi market, 158.02. That's down by 0.8%. The BRVM also fell by roughly 1% at 310.5. That's the biggest exchange, or the single exchange for French-speaking West Africa. Let's dive out of that and dive into the government bonds. Looking at the 10-year paper, the dollar is still making some gains across a number of currencies, but of course we'll get to the currency story later. The South Africa's 10-year paper, the yield down by about 0.1% according to investing.com, 12:56 GMT today. Price about 9.615%. Look at the Morocco's 10-year paper, 2.835. That's flattish. Friday, Kenya down by 1.02%. That's some good news for President Ruto's administration, 13.39% according to that data. So we'll go into currencies. The rand trading around 18. A bit better on the dollar early Monday morning, 0.9%. The dollar is trading around that figure, 18. That's the rand relationship. The CFA franc down by 1.35%. That's the dollar diving on the CFA franc, 566.2. Kenya shilling, 129.26. It's been a little bit flattish for the dollar on the Kenya shilling since the year started. The Kenya shilling has bucked, however, against the euro and the British pound. It's been around flattish, and since we started the year. Today, we've seen that figure around 129.26, around 12:48 GMT. The local currency, the Naira, recovered 0.15%. On the US dollar, 1,527.5. That's where we are at this time. If you check your time, heading towards 4:30 p.m. Nigerian time. Let's roll on and go into our commodities data deck. And you starting as always with the oil prices. Brent and its cousin, the US West Texas Intermediate, now below the $70 per barrel, 68.45, 65.99, 1.75, 1.9. Everyone's also getting concerned about the impact of President Trump's latest tariff coming into effect this month on economies around the world. There are a lot of concerns around there. So that's a bit of weak sentiment by all traders and investors on Monday. Move on to commodities. As far as metal is concerned, you can see gold prices up 0.62%. When dollar retraces slightly, the price of gold goes up $1,420 an ounce. Copper is trading below 500 at 4.4. That's 0.05%, just a little jump. Then you have platinum below the 1,400 at 1,323, 0.46. Iron ore now trading close to 100, 99.57, 0.45% as at the Friday, 12:34 GMT. Finally, in soft commodities, agriculture, if you want to put it that way, cocoa and coffee prices in different direction. Cocoa prices down roughly 2%. We saw a bit of a steady upside for most of last week, but now below the $8,000 per metric ton. Coffee prices 287.55 below the 300 level, but trying to make some comeback gain, 1.18%. And finally, sugar prices, a strong 1.5%. Future prices, that's what you're looking at on the screen. That's 1643 to start Monday around 1240 GMT. Of course, you know the market's not over yet. If you're watching the rest of the global markets, you know, there's still a couple of hours before the market closes for the first day in the week, which of course is the 4th of August. I am Boston Amafai, and from me and the rest of the team at the FMDQ studios in Lagos, we thank you for watching the show. We're back tomorrow at the same time.